beefing with each other. The thing with that is, though, um, the thing with it is, though, I just feel like when you actually look at the experience, and when you look at how one comes from a team that's been in the game before Nikki. See, a lot of these, one thing about this group here is that they came in the game sort of with these females versus where Hot Boys came in the game without her. See what I'm saying? She was schooled and seasoned in the game through them. Yet, they've been in this thing over 10 years before her. Versus where the YNs come in. So it's almost like you're having like a YN thing where the youngins are coming in and they're sort of shaking the game up and sort of seeming to be just boom, 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 boom. Like where it would have took you 10 years, it took him like what? 1, 2, 3 years. Okay, boom, he's already got a body. Boom, this is already boom. It's like he's just boom, 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 boom. So he's just like getting all this in within half the time it took you to do it. You see what I'm saying? That's really how it's coming off. That's how you look at it. Because, now Cardi B is already like, she's already like boom, 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 boom. So where it took like Nicki Minaj 1, maybe 2 albums, her first album scaled all that juice and she just slurped up all that flavor within her first album. Yet at the same time, it's like, you're talking about history. History defines everything. History is over experience and all that. So just being real, let's just face some things so maybe we can see where things really are. Because historically speaking, the Hot Boys paid some things back in them days. You're talking about coming into the year 2000, coming into the year 2020, coming into the year 2004, with that, you talking about someone won a 99 from the 99 from the 2000 looking for some, you know what I'm saying? Like when you look at that time before all this came, like to hold it down like that, to hold that time down from 1999. You also remember, you also still had Prince in the game, Michael Jackson in the game. You had a lot of other artists still in the game and then making music. So some of these artists are still here, but they were making music at that time. And so they are what you would call now, Migos, on the other hand, just as good now from where they were coming in the year, this is year 2025, so this would be 5, that would be 2019, 18. At that time, there was, I would say the industry sort of left an opening. That's just like if you're throwing a ball and no one's there to catch it, it leaves that wide open. And I think that's sort of how they got in. They was just like, it was wide, there was just room on that field for another play. But the thing is, though, what's catchy here is that, they really weren't really off the scene, saying as in though they left that wide open, because at the same time, you have to hold tight. And if you bear a little and you catch that right there, you'll see that there was Young Thug who came in within a hair right before Migos. See what I'm saying? So even though Nicki Minaj had came out with that album with that one jam with Carrie, what's her name? And the boys always spending all their money on love. Cassie, even though she came out with that song with Cassie, and Cassie was from Puff Daddy. Okay, so Cassie, obviously, which I didn't even know that at that time. Like, I didn't even know that she was even with him until that case came out with Puff Daddy. And I was like, oh my goodness. You see what I'm saying? But obviously, Cassie being a Bad Boys artist came out with that jam with Nicki Minaj. So Nicki Minaj was very well still on the scene, because then she also had that album, that song, Bang Bang, with Ariana Grande and a few other young ladies. So, in proper respects, can you pass the breath on? So, in proper respects with these, petite young artists, if you look, you see right there you had Young Thug in the game. Then Migos came. So you had all these young guys and these young girls, and everybody's coming out with the songs, and they're delivering little snippets here and there. Yet, look a little closely, that is also the same exact time when Toni Braxton's sister dropped her first album. Her very first album, which is, you took a chance to know my love, and now you know that I don't need no one like, so she dropped that song, which placed her first album out, which at the same time was at the time when Toni Braxton was dating one of the hot boys, Birdman. So, when you look at what's going on between Cardi B and Nicki, I think you have to look at what some of these artists, where they were, because Nicki was still literally on her first album, which she dropped with Lil Wayne, Beam Me Up. which was how she was even exposed as an artist anyway, because uh, Migos had technically not really came out yet. And you had to sort of be a little bit mainstream and into the industry to really catch that album even surfacing. Because I think their first song was what was right where they're in the restaurant, which that's what it is. Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana. Yeah, that one. Now we all know them from Hannah Montana, which was them and their first single from the first album. And you had to sort of be a little mainstream that had caught that, because only music people were really playing was Young Thugger and right. And at that point, that was the jam, Don't Look Like That, which that's not his song, but he was featured on an album, and that sort of is what allowed him to collaborate and sort of get his music out there. Yeah. Dugga, you know what I'm saying? You get these fists knuckle, like, on a something, So that album, that single is what put their albums out there and what got them noticed. And so I mean, this sort of is like giving one thing about women is they will move the goalposts. That they will do. So, in the midst of experience and how people were, and I think that somehow to some extent, I think we're trying to blame the artist for what is more like out of the industry problems that are usually subjected to becoming industry problems. And I think it sort of places that pressure on the artist to deal with industry issues through the industry. You know what I'm saying? Which is literally two different entities. You see what I'm saying? So the circumstance delivers beef, but it's really not really beef as much as it is a altercation to alter the attention from where there is really another situation that's stemming here. And so I think that it's just the ability to create attention to the feel of a situation. Like if a situation had a name, or if it had a face, how would you feel about that situation? You see what I'm saying? But it just shows you just by Nicki Minaj alone that somehow there's something that's been brewing and stemming way before they even came on the scene, way before they even got their music out there, before anybody even knew about them, and even far back before you even had the Hot Boys. Because if you look at their history and how they came about, there were times when it was almost like they didn't even really believe that the Hot Boys would take off. as well as they did. So it just and then you going back before you had the Hot Boys, you had the album with Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Ice 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 Cube. You had the movie Friday 1, Friday 2. So you had the demise of Aaliyah and Tupac and Biggie Smalls. And so it's like there's just so much that you have to just keep going back and then going back and then going back and then going back and then going back, because it's like you can't just really see an artist. And if you're just saying, okay, well, which one is more important? Because before you check Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, you also have to come back and remember Jay-Z. Yes, them boys, because they was in the game as well with it. H to the is only to the is A. Now that jam was banging at the exact same time the Hot Boys came out. So, and it really put him out there because suddenly it's like he's married to Beyonce. Beyonce came out with Destiny Child. The Destiny Child coming out with Bills, and Will You Say My Name? You see what I'm saying? So with that being said, then you had Christina Aguilera, who came as a young artist, singing with Little Kim, Redman. Before you even get Christina Aguilera, you had the young girl, the number one young girl from the culture of that music stream, Britney Spears. Now, Britney Spears and Beyonce came out at the exact same time. But you also had some other young girls. Now, people say, now, what does all of them have to do with this? Good question. And you ask a good question. What do they have to do with Cardi B and Nicki Minaj? Because if you're talking about experiencing the hype that they can give, like if one artist was better than the other one, how do you know? How would you say Nicki is better than Cardi? And how can you say Cardi is better than Nicki? And how can you place them on the map? Because what they're doing is they're saying that Cardi is better than the Migos. But is Nicki better than the Hot Boys? But see, one thing about Cardi is already they're placing her as better than Migos. But one thing you cannot say is Nicki is better than the one she comes from, which is Hot Boys. Can she be better than them? Is she better than them? Can she say, I ate from the plate, but I could make the plate, feed it right back? They're saying that, Cardi B ate from that plate from the Migos, but now she making the plate. And she is the plate. She is the meal now. See what I'm saying? See, I don't really think you could pick that vibe up. Like, even though Nicki Minaj came from a very suitable beat of talent, which was the Hot Boys, and really good beats and jams at the same time, she stands alone. She's an independent artist. You know what I'm saying? Like, you sure as hell cannot put her out there by indicating that she is better than them in their music and what they created and was able to get the party jumping off of. That's all I'm saying. It's like, it really makes you have to ponder some things. Like, is you really feeling this? But you can't really know if you're really feeling it, because it's like, I don't know why people would want to just start being so directly heavy handed and start ruling with the iron fist because it is music. So there's just some things you gotta face here without stepping on anyone's toes, you know? And when it comes down to who's really the best artist, um, I guess it's giving confusion because of how quickly she was able to do her thing and how quickly Migos was able to do their thing. Yet at the same time, you are still in an industry full of other artists, and you gotta sort of look at, okay, well, if that's the case, let's knuckle down back. Let's back it back. Let's back it up. Let's, back it up. Back that thing up, because, how did Nicki Minaj start? How did Cardi B start? You see what I'm saying? So if Nicki started with the Hot Boys, and they still have jams today that would literally about clear the table. Music alone. I mean, you don't even have to know the words. That song gonna do it for you. I'm like, you're talking about music that's reached levels that has placed them in a respectable place. Like, people respect that music. Like, that music can be radio cropped it, radio edited, and it's still gonna sound good. You know what I mean? Wow. Oh my goodness. But I'm like, I think that there is just like this feeling, like you can just feel it. Cause I think like they're trying to bring it to where it's like in somebody like whose throat is it in? That's what I think is the thing there. Like, someone's doing a really good job concealing that. Cause this is someone's throat. Cause I guess they're trying to put it on age and other factors, but at the same time, it's like it's bringing it up out of both of them though. So you sort of just have to ask, and whose throat is it in? Maybe it could be both, or maybe it's trying and it's not getting to neither one of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, you gotta sort of be able to touch base anyway. And I guess maybe they're trying to indicate that if you're not able to touch base with reality, or maybe get in um, the real thing, what are you doing? But when you're still willing to allow those options to work in your favor, though. See, when you know how to swallow your pride, and when you know how to market the game, trying to even throw that one out there just ain't gone. You know what I'm saying? You need to come harder. Because at the end of the day, I still will be using my kahunas. I would still have my marbles intact. I would still be screwing them back in and sealing them tight. You know what I'm saying? So, whereas then perhaps it may be giving out the image that you're missing that connection there. At the same time, though, oh, I'm way ahead of you. I'm way ahead of the game. You know what I'm saying? I uses that. You know what I'm saying? I uses that. I let it work for me. Maybe somebody else doesn't, but I do. So, you can throw that one. You can throw that one in there and try to anchor me down. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, at the same time, it really is the E for effort here, because at the same time, Beagles, literally is going out of their way to do something that I'm assuming they necessarily didn't even have to do. You see what I'm saying? Because at the same time, you're going to look at you got to look at how they went out their way to do something they didn't have to do. And they put themselves in situations that was not theirs to deal with. And that there is and they know they can't be nice. So you got to consider that, at the same time, knowing that being nice, could put you in some situations. You see what I'm saying? So it's like there is just something that just doesn't give. You're just going to walk over me or just take advantage because you think I'm new to the game. I'm sweet on things. That's just not how it is. I mean, when it comes down to pimping life right back, the pimp hand strong. So it's like, that's just sort of what I'm seeing here. It's like, yeah, I went out. I mean, I'm picking up this that may deserve its flowers. Yeah, I mean, so